Hi everyone, this is Brooke and today's Sprout Minute is all about bridling. We have Sawyer here as our demo horse, so it's a nice chilly Saturday. We have two different bridles that we use at Sprout. One is called a hackamore and one is a bridle with a bit. And the difference between them is that the hackamore is controlled, allows control of the horse from a noseband. So for students that are learning how to have contact with the horse and learn how to use their hands in a safe and respectful way, we like to start them off in a hackamore as they learn how to communicate with the horse. And then as they become more advanced with their skills, we will put a bit in the horse's mouth. And this just allows more precise communication, but it also works off a pretty sensitive area of the horse, which is their mouth. So we want to make sure that the hands that we put in the horse's mouth are sensitive as well. So we're going to start with how to put on a hackamore, and then we'll do a bridle with a bit. I'm just going to lay this down. Okay, so we always figure eight our bridles at Sprout. When you get the bridle, you're just going to undo this part, which is called the throat latch, and you'll just allow it to hang down. When I'm starting to bridle Sawyer, I'm going to take his cross ties off. I'm going to unhook his halter, and I'm going to move his halter from his head to his neck. And that will allow me to maintain control over him in case he decides to walk away. And to put his head in his bridle, I'm just going to hold his head with my hand. I'm going to grab the top of the bridle, guide his nose in, push his ears forward one at a time, and then I'm going to adjust all of my straps. So I'm adjusting my brow band first, making sure that it's in the divot under his ears and pulling his forelock through. And then I'm adjusting my throat latch next. Sometimes it will be wrapped up in the bridle, so I have to make sure that it lays flat. And then I'm just going to pull it around. And I'm going to adjust it so that there's 4 fingers from the horse's throat to the leather. And when in doubt, looser is better. And then I'm going to put the strap in both keepers so that it doesn't flap around, okay? And then his nose band is already done. He has a lead rope attachment at the bottom, so I would then attach the lead rope to the bottom. And at that point, I can take off the halter, okay? So that's one bridle. We're gonna back up a couple steps. Okay, now I'm gonna get my bridle with the bit. And since I'm still working around him, I keep his halter on. Same thing, the bridle is figure eighted. So I'm gonna undo my figure eight. I'm going to pull the nose band away just to make sure that all my straps are away from one another. I know I'll need this later, so I'm just going to hang it on my arm. Take this bridle off by pulling it over his ears. Throw that over there. Okay. So for the bit, the bit's a little bit different because we have to get it in his mouth. Same thing, I'm holding the bridle with my far hand. I'm separating it over his head. I'm getting the nose band on either side of his nose. And then with the bit, I'm weaving my fingers through the bit, like this. And when I do that, I'm going to use my thumb to guide the bit into his mouth. So Let's try that again. Arm around his head. Hold the bridle. Separate the noseband. Bit through my fingers. My thumb goes in his mouth and my fingers put the bit in. And then I'm switching my hands so that I can bring his ears through the bridle. And I always adjust his forelock as I do that. And then I'm making sure that the brow band is in place in the divot under his ear. I'm putting my nose band under the leather cheek pieces. I'm attaching my nose band so that 2 fingers can fit between the face and the leather, and putting in our keepers, both always. Sometimes you have to work it a little bit. Okay, and then the throat latch. Once again, 4 fingers away from his jaw. Both keepers. And then depending on the attachment for the bit and the lead rope, sometimes I might have a bit lead, sometimes I might have a nose band attachment. It depends on what the horse needs. But if I'm attaching directly to the bit, which is not always the case, but if I am, I'm always going to go through and to the other side, because I don't want to rip the bit through the horse's mouth. So this prevents that from happening. That's one way if you don't have a bit lead that you need for the horse. Another way to attach lead rope is onto this little buckle at the nose band, and that allows you to hold your horse without having to put any pressure on the bit. So that's bridling. I'll do one more check to make sure everything is in place, and if he's telling me that the straps are too high, usually he'll be, biting and uncomfortable. So that will show me that I need to look at the straps. All right, thanks a lot.